When Emma Chen spilled Cabernet across Dante Moretti's $15,000 suit, she didn't just stain Italian wool, she signed a contract written in blood, desperation, and lies. 24 hours later, she'd become his wife. Not because she loved him, not because she wanted to, but because monsters don't ask permission. They make offers you can't survive refusing. And the most terrifying part? She was starting to think the real danger wasn't the deal. It was what happened when she stopped pretending to hate him. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, drop your city in the comments below. I want to see how far this story travels. Hit that like button and stick around until the very end. Trust me, you'll want to know how this ends. Mbugkik. Emma's fingers ached. Not the dull throb of tired muscles, the kind of ache that came from gripping things too hard for too long. The silver tray, the fake smile, the last thread of composure holding her together while she moved through the Sinclair estate like she was made of air. She wasn't supposed to be here. Not among crystal chandeliers that cost more than her mother's medical bills. Not balancing champagne flutes for people who wouldn't remember her face 5 seconds after she refilled their glasses. Not wearing this ridiculous black dress uniform that pinched at the waist and made her feel like a prop in someone else's fantasy. But here she was. Because rent didn't care about dignity. Because hospital bills didn't negotiate. Because when you were drowning, you didn't get to choose which hand pulled you out. The ballroom sprawled ahead of her like something out of a fever dream. Marble floors polished to mirrors, walls lined with paintings that probably had insurance policies, men in tuxedos and women dripping diamonds like they'd been dipped in stars. The air smelled like expensive perfume and old money, and Emma hated every molecule of it. She wove between clusters of conversation, offering champagne with the kind of invisible efficiency that rich people mistook for contentment. A woman with a face stretched tight by surgery waved her off without looking. A man in his 60s grabbed a glass and let his fingers linger too long against hers. Emma pulled back, jaw tight, and kept moving. 4 more hours. You can survive 4 more hours. Her phone had buzzed twice in her pocket. She didn't need to check it to know what it said. Her mother's nurse. Another update. Another reminder that time was running out faster than Emma could hustle tips and double shifts. Stage 4 didn't wait for anyone. She rounded a corner near the grand staircase and nearly collided with another server, Marcus, one of the few people here who actually spoke to her like she was human. "You look like hell," he muttered, balancing his own tray. "Thanks. You're a real confidence boost." "I'm serious, Em. When's the last time you slept?" She didn't answer, couldn't remember. "They're working you into the ground," Marcus said, quieter now. "You know that, right?" "Yeah, well..." Emma adjusted her grip on the tray. "Ground's gotta wait its turn." Marcus opened his mouth to argue, but someone called his name from across the room. He shot her a look, half concern, half resignation, and disappeared into the crowd. Emma exhaled slowly. Just keep moving. Don't think. Don't feel. Just move. That's when the room changed. It was subtle at first, a shift in the air. Conversations didn't stop, but they softened, like everyone had collectively decided to lower their voices. Heads turned toward the entrance. Eyes tracked something, someone, moving through the crowd. Emma felt it before she saw him, a presence, heavy, magnetic, the kind that made people step aside without being asked. And then he was there. Dante Moretti. She'd heard the name whispered earlier in the kitchen, heard the servers trade nervous glances when his RSVP had been confirmed. Heard one of the senior staff say, "Don't stare, don't approach, don't even breathe wrong near that man." Emma hadn't asked why. Now she understood. He moved through the ballroom like a predator who'd learned to wear a suit. Tall. Taller than she expected, with dark hair swept back, sharp jawline, and eyes so black they swallowed light. He wasn't handsome in the soft, approachable way. He was handsome in the way a knife was handsome. Clean, precise, dangerous. People parted for him, not because he demanded it, because instinct told them to. Emma should have looked away, should have done her job, kept her head down, disappeared back into the safety of being nobody. But she didn't. She watched him cross the room, watched the way men straightened their spines when he passed, watched women lean in with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. He didn't smile back, didn't acknowledge anyone, just moved with the kind of quiet certainty that came from never having to ask for anything twice. And then, God, she didn't even know how it happened. Her foot caught the edge of a rug. Time fractured. The tray tilted. Glasses slid. Champagne and red wine arced through the air in a slow-motion catastrophe that her brain registered but her body couldn't stop. She stumbled forward, arms flailing, and the entire tray upended directly onto the man in the pristine white suit standing 3 feet in front of her. Dante Moretti. Cabernet Sauvignon splashed across his chest like a gunshot wound, dark red against bone white. The glass shattered on the marble floor. The sound echoed. The room went silent. Not quiet. Silent. Every conversation died. Every eye turned. Emma stood frozen, tray hanging uselessly in her hands, staring at the spreading stain across the chest of the most dangerous man in the room. Her heart stopped. Dante didn't move. He looked down at his ruined suit, then up, slowly, deliberately. His eyes locked onto hers. Black, cold, unreadable. Emma's mouth opened, closed. No sound came out. She tried. I'm so... You're sorry. His voice was low, quiet. The kind of quiet that made you listen harder. Is that what you were going to say? It wasn't a question. Emma swallowed. Her hands shook. Yes. Don't be. She blinked. What? Dante stepped closer. One step. That's all it took. Suddenly the air between them felt thin, dangerous. I said don't be sorry. He tilted his head slightly, studying her like she was a problem he hadn't decided how to solve yet. Sorry is what people say when they're afraid. Are you afraid? She should have said yes, should have apologized again, begged forgiveness, done whatever it took to make this man look away. But something in his tone, something mocking, something that assumed she'd crumble, lit a spark she didn't know she still had. No, Emma said. A lie. But she said it anyway. Dante's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his eyes. Amusement, maybe. Or curiosity. Interesting, he murmured. Someone rushed forward, an older man in an expensive suit, face red with panic. Mr. Moretti, I'm so incredibly sorry. We'll have her removed immediately. This is completely unacceptable. Dante raised one hand. The man stopped mid-sentence like he'd hit a wall. Leave us, Dante said. But sir, now. The man retreated, fast. The crowd lingered, pretending not to watch while absolutely watching. Dante ignored them. His focus stayed locked on Emma. What's your name? He asked. Emma. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Emma Chen. Emma Chen. He repeated it slowly like he was testing the weight of it. You work here. Tonight, yes. You don't sound like you want to be here. I don't. Then why are you? The question landed harder than it should have. Emma felt her throat tighten, felt the exhaustion, the fear, the desperation she'd been shoving down for months rise up all at once. Because I don't have a choice, she said. Dante studied her for a long moment. Then he reached into his jacket, still dripping wine, and pulled out a handkerchief. He didn't use it, just held it. Everyone has a choice, Emma Chen, he said quietly. Some are just worse than others. He handed her the handkerchief. She stared at it. I don't... Your hands are shaking. They were. Emma took the handkerchief. It was silk, monogrammed. Probably cost more than her rent. Thank you, she whispered. Dante's mouth curved. Not quite a smile. Something darker. Don't thank me yet. And then he turned and walked away, just like that. The crowd swallowed him whole, and Emma stood there in the wreckage of broken glass and spilled wine, holding a stranger's handkerchief, trying to understand what the hell had just happened. Marcus appeared at her elbow. Holy shit, Em. Yeah. Do you know who that was? Dante Moretti. Do you know who Dante Moretti is? Emma looked at him. Should I? Marcus grabbed her arm and pulled her toward the service hallway, away from the stairs. Once they were out of sight, he lowered his voice. He's not just rich, Emma. He's... Marcus hesitated. Look, people don't talk about it openly, but everyone knows. Moretti doesn't just run businesses. He runs everything, real estate, shipping, half the construction contracts in the city, and the stuff that doesn't show up on paper, that's where the real power is. Emma's stomach twisted. You're saying he's... I'm saying you just dumped wine on someone you don't want noticing you. Too late for that. Yeah, no kidding. Marcus ran a hand through his hair. Just be careful, okay? Guys like that don't forget. Emma nodded, but her mind was somewhere else, still replaying the way Dante had looked at her. Not with anger, not with disgust, with interest. And that scared her more than anything. The rest of the night blurred together. Emma finished her shift on autopilot, cleaned up broken glass, avoided eye contact, and counted down the minutes until she could leave. By the time she stepped outside into the cold night air, her legs felt like they might give out. She pulled her phone from her pocket. 3 missed calls. 2 voicemails. All from the hospital. Emma's chest tightened. She dialed back, hands shaking. It rang twice before someone picked up. Ms. Chen? The nurse's voice was professional. Kind. That made it worse. Is she okay? Emma asked immediately. She's stable, but Dr. Patel wanted me to call you. We need to discuss next steps for treatment. There's a new clinical trial, but the costs... How much? A pause. The first round is 80,000. That's just a start. The number hit her like a fist. 80,000. Emma closed her eyes, felt the world tilt. Miss Chen? I'm here? I know this is overwhelming, but if you can find a way, I'll find a way, Emma said. I have to. She hung up before the nurse could say anything else. Stood there on the sidewalk, breathing cold air that burned her lungs, staring at nothing. $80,000. She had $900 in her checking account, another $200 in tips hidden in her apartment, a maxed-out credit card, and a landlord who'd already threatened eviction. I'll find a way. The words tasted like ash. She started walking. Didn't know where. Just walked. Her mother's face floated up in her mind, smiling, laughing, back when things were different, back before the diagnosis, before the chemo, before everything turned into a countdown. Emma couldn't stop. I'll find a way. She had to, even if she didn't know how. Emma didn't sleep that night. She lay in her shoebox apartment, staring at the ceiling, running numbers in her head that didn't add up, no matter how many times she rearranged them. By the time the sun came up, she'd made approximately 0 progress and consumed an entire pot of coffee. Her phone rang at 9 a.m. Unknown number. Emma almost didn't answer, but something, instinct, desperation, stupidity, made her pick up. Hello? Emma Chen? The voice was smooth, professional, male. Who's asking? My name is Vincent. I work for Mr. Moretti. He'd like to speak with you. Emma sat up. What? A car will arrive at your address in 30 minutes. Please be ready. Wait, how do you have my address? Mr. Moretti is a resourceful man. 30 minutes, Ms. Chen. The line went dead. Emma stared at her phone, then at the clock, then at the door. What the hell? She should have ignored it, should have blocked the number, stayed inside, pretended last night never happened. But $80,000 was a guillotine hanging over her head, and desperation made people do stupid things. The car arrived exactly 30 minutes later. Black, sleek, expensive enough that people on the street stopped to stare. Emma climbed in before she could talk herself out of it. The driver didn't speak, just pulled into traffic and drove. They headed downtown, toward the part of the city where buildings scraped clouds and mortals feared to tread. The car stopped in front of a high-rise that looked like it had been designed by someone who thought subtlety was for cowards. Top floor, the driver said. First words he'd spoken. Emma got out. The lobby was all marble and glass, and the kind of silence that came from spaces too expensive for normal human noise. A receptionist directed her to a private elevator. No buttons, just a smooth ride up that made her ears pop. When the doors opened, she stepped into a penthouse that shouldn't have existed. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the entire city. Furniture that looked like it belonged in a museum. Art on the walls that Emma was pretty sure she'd seen in textbooks. And standing by the window, hands in his pockets, dressed in charcoal gray like he'd stepped out of a magazine, was Dante Moretti. He turned when she entered. Emma Chen, he said. You came. You didn't really give me a choice. There's always a choice. He gestured to a chair near a glass table. Sit. Emma didn't move. Why am I here? Dante smiled, thin, sharp. Because you need something, and I have a proposition. I don't. Your mother, Dante interrupted. Stage 4 cancer. St. Catherine's Hospital. Dr. Patel's trying to get her into a clinical trial, but you can't afford it. He tilted his head. Did I miss anything? Emma's blood went cold. How? I told you, I'm resourceful. You had me investigated. Of course I did. That's insane, Vet. That's thorough. Dante moved closer. Not threatening, just present. You're drowning, Emma. I can see it. You work 3 jobs, you haven't slept in weeks, and you're about 5 minutes away from collapsing, so let me save us both some time. I'm going to make you an offer, and you're going to say yes. Emma's hands curled into fists. You don't know me. I know enough. He stopped a few feet away, close enough that she could see the gold flecks in his dark eyes. I know you spilled wine on me last night and didn't run. I know you looked me in the eye and lied when I asked if you were afraid. I know you're the kind of stubborn that doesn't quit even when quitting is the smart move. He paused. And I know you'll do anything to save your mother. The last words landed like a blade. Emma's throat tightened. What do you want? Dante reached into his jacket and pulled out a single sheet of paper, folded, crisp. He set it on the table between them. I want you to marry me. Silence. Emma stared at him, then at the paper, then back at him. What? It's simple, Dante said, voice calm. A contract marriage. 2 years. You'll live here. Play the role of my wife in public. Attend events. Smile for cameras. Be the perfect partner. You're insane. I'm practical. He gestured to the paper. In exchange, I'll pay for your mother's treatment. All of it. Clinical trial, surgery, recovery, aftercare, whatever she needs. Your debts will be cleared. You'll have a salary, a place to live, and access to resources you couldn't dream of. Emma's mind reeled. Why would you see? My reasons are my own. That's not an answer. Dante's expression didn't change. It's the only one you'll get. Emma looked at the contract, at the man offering it, at the impossible choice being laid at her feet. This is insane, she whispered. Yes. You don't even know me. I know enough. What if I say no? Dante shrugged. Then you leave. Go back to your life. Try to find $80,000 somewhere else. He met her eyes. But we both know you won't find it in time. The truth of it hit her like cold water. He was right. She was out of options, out of time, out of everything except desperation. Emma picked up the paper, unfolded it. Her hands shook. The contract was typed. Professional, terrifyingly detailed. Duration, 2 years from date of signing. Residence, shared primary residence at address listed above. Public appearances. Mandatory as required. Compensation. All medical expenses for Helen Chen covered in full. Personal salary of $10,000 per month. Debts cleared upon signing. Termination clause. Early termination results in forfeiture of all financial benefits and immediate repayment of medical expenses incurred. Emma's vision blurred. It was a cage made of gold, but it was also her mother's life. 2 years, she said quietly. 2 years. And then? And then you're free. Emma looked up. Met Dante's eyes. Searched for something. Humanity. Hesitation. Anything that would tell her this wasn't real. She found nothing. Just cold calculation. I need time to think, she said. You have until tonight. That's not tonight, Emma. Dante's voice dropped. Your mother's next treatment window closes in 72 hours. You don't have time to think. You have time to decide. Emma's chest tightened. She hated him. Hated that he was right. Hated that she was standing here, holding a contract that would chain her to a stranger and seriously considering it. But she thought of her mother. Pale, weak, smiling even when it hurt. I'll find a way. This was the way. Horrible. Impossible. Terrifying. But it was a way. If I do this, Emma said slowly, I need to know one thing. Ask. Do you plan to hurt me? Dante didn't answer immediately. He studied her, really looked at her, like he was seeing something he hadn't expected. No, he said finally. I don't plan to hurt you. That's not the same as promising you won't. His mouth curved, almost a smile. No, it's not. Emma folded the contract, held it against her chest. I'll give you my answer tonight. Dante nodded once. Vincent will be waiting. He turned back to the window. Dismissal. Emma walked to the elevator, stepped inside, the doors closed, and as the floor dropped out beneath her, she realized she'd already made her choice. She just hadn't admitted it yet. Emma returned to her apartment in a daze, sat on her bed, stared at the contract. Her phone buzzed. A text from the hospital. Her mother was asking for her. Emma closed her eyes, thought about the last time she'd seen her mom smile, really smile. Thought about the way her mother used to braid her hair before school. Thought about Sunday mornings and terrible pancakes and laughter that felt like sunlight. Thought about losing all of it. She opened her eyes, picked up a pen, and signed her name at the bottom of the contract. The car came for her at 8. Emma climbed in wearing the same jeans and jacket she'd worn that morning. She didn't have anything else. Didn't matter. This wasn't about her. Vincent met her in the lobby, older, professional. He looked at her like she was a problem he'd been hired to manage. Ms. Chen, he said, this way. He led her back to the penthouse. Dante was waiting, same spot by the window, same unreadable expression. Emma walked forward and set the signed contract on the table. I have conditions, she said. Dante raised an eyebrow. Do you? Yes. Emma's voice was steadier now. I want to see my mother whenever I want. No restrictions. And I want her transferred to the best facility you can find. Private room, best doctors. Done. I'm not finished. Emma stepped closer. This is a contract, a performance. I'll play your wife in public. But in private, you don't own me. I'm not your property. I'm not your decoration. And if you ever try to make me feel like I am, the deal's off. Dante studied her. Then, slowly, he smiled. A real smile this time. Dangerous and amused and something else she couldn't name. You have fire, he said quietly. I like that. I don't care what you like. Liar. Emma's jaw tightened. Dante picked up the contract, glanced at her signature. Welcome to your new life, Mrs. Moretti. The name hit her like a brand. Emma swallowed. No going back now. Dante extended his hand. Shall we begin? Emma looked at his hand, at the man who'd just bought 2 years of her life, at the devil she'd made a deal with. She took his hand and sealed her fate. The penthouse became Emma's prison 3 hours after she signed the contract. Not literally. The doors weren't locked. She could leave whenever she wanted, technically. But the moment Vincent led her through the massive double doors and gestured to the guest wing like he was showing her a museum exhibit, Emma understood the truth. This wasn't a home. It was a stage, and she was the newest prop. Your rooms, Vincent said, pushing open a door to reveal a bedroom bigger than her entire apartment. King-sized bed, walk-in closet, bathroom with a tub that could fit 3 people, windows overlooking the city like she owned it. She didn't. Emma stepped inside. The air smelled like expensive candles and nothing else. No life, no history, just Kong space waiting to be filled. Mr. Moretti's suite is on the opposite wing, Vincent continued. You'll have privacy. Staff will arrive tomorrow to take your measurements for appropriate wardrobe. Your mother's transfer to Greenhouse Medical has already been arranged. She'll be moved first thing in the morning. Emma turned. That fast? Mr. Moretti doesn't wait. Yeah, I'm getting that. Vincent's expression didn't change. Dinner is at 8. Mr. Moretti expects you to join him. And if I don't, then you'll be hungry. He left before she could respond. Emma stood alone in the pristine bedroom, surrounded by luxury she hadn't asked for, and felt the weight of the contract settle onto her shoulders like chains made of silk. She pulled out her phone, texted her mother's nurse. Is she okay? The response came back in seconds, resting comfortably. Transfer approved for tomorrow morning. This is incredible, Emma. How did you manage this? Emma stared at the message. Long story. I'll explain when I see her. She didn't know how to explain. Didn't know how to say I sold myself to a stranger so you could live without it sounding like exactly what it was. Her phone buzzed again. Different number. Wear something appropriate for dinner. DM Emma's jaw tightened. She typed back, I don't have anything appropriate. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Closet, second door, everything's been handled. Emma walked to the closet, opened the second door, and froze. Rows of dresses, shelves of shoes, drawers of things she didn't even have names for, all in her size, all expensive enough to make her nauseous. He'd planned this, every detail, before she'd even signed. Emma grabbed the simplest dress she could find, black, sleeveless, knee-length, and threw it on the bed. She wanted to scream, wanted to tear every perfect hanger off the rod and throw them out the window. Instead, she sat down on the edge of the bed and tried to remember how to breathe. But dinner was worse than she'd imagined. The dining room could have seated 20. Long table, crystal glasses, candles that probably cost more than her car. Dante sat at the head of the table, already eating, dressed in a black shirt with the sleeves rolled up. He didn't look up when she entered. Emma took the seat across from him, far enough away that conversation required effort. A server appeared from nowhere, silent, efficient, and placed a plate in front of her. Something with greens and protein she couldn't identify. She picked up her fork. "You're late," Dante said. "You didn't give me a time." 8 o'clock. "Vincent told you." "Vincent told me a lot of things." Dante finally looked up. His eyes tracked over her. The dress, her hair still damp from the shower, the defiance she couldn't quite hide. "You look acceptable," he said. "That's the sweetest thing anyone's ever said to me." His mouth twitched, almost a smile. "Sarcasm won't serve you well here." "Good thing I'm not trying to serve you." "Aren't you?" The question landed sharp. Emma set down her fork. "We have a contract. I signed it. I'll hold up my end, but don't mistake that for submission." Dante leaned back in his chair, studied her like she was a puzzle he was deciding whether to solve or discard. "You're angry," he said. "I'm realistic." "You're angry," he repeated. "At me, at yourself, at the situation. You haven't decided which yet." "I don't need a therapist." "No, you need to eat." He gestured to her untouched plate. "You're too thin. That'll change." Emma's hands curled into fists under the table. "Don't." "Don't what?" "Don't analyze me. Don't manage me. Don't act like you know what I need." Dante's expression didn't shift, but something flickered behind his eyes. Amusement, maybe, or challenge. "Eat, Emma. I'm not hungry." "Eat anyway." "You can't order me to." "I can." His voice stayed calm, quiet, terrifying in its certainty. "That's what you agreed to, public and private. You're my wife now. And my wife doesn't starve herself because she's too stubborn to admit she's running on empty." Emma's throat tightened. She hated that he was right. Hated that she hadn't eaten since yesterday. Hated that her hands were shaking and her head felt light and her body was screaming for fuel she couldn't afford to accept. She picked up the fork, took a bite. It tasted like ash and defeat. Dante watched her. Didn't say anything. Just watched. Emma forced down another bite. Then another. The silence stretched. Finally, Dante spoke. "There's an event Friday night, charity gala. You'll attend with me." "That's in 3 days." "Yes." "I don't know how to—" "You'll learn." Emma set down her fork. "You keep saying that like it's simple." "It is simple. Smile. Stand next to me. Don't embarrass yourself for me. That's the extent of your responsibilities." "And if I refuse?" Dante's gaze sharpened. "Then your mother's treatment stops. Your salary disappears, and you go back to whatever hole you crawled out of." He paused. "But you won't refuse." "You sound awfully sure." "I am." He stood. "Because you're not stupid, and you know exactly what's at stake." He walked out of the room, left Emma sitting alone at the long table, surrounded by candles and crystal and the suffocating weight of her own choices. She didn't finish the meal. Just sat there until the server came to clear the plates, silent and efficient, like Emma's misery was part of the decor. He chats. The next morning, Emma woke to her phone ringing. She grabbed it without looking. "Hello?" "Emma." Her mother's voice, weak but warm. "Sweetheart." Emma sat up too fast. "Mom, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Better than fine. They moved me this morning. Emma, this place..." Her mother's voice cracked. How did you afford this? Emma's chest tightened. I found a way. What way? It doesn't matter. You're safe. That's all that matters. Emma, Mom, please, just trust me. A pause. Long enough that Emma thought the call had dropped. Then, you didn't do anything dangerous, did you? Emma closed her eyes. No. Another lie. Okay, her mother said quietly. Okay, I trust you. The words felt like knives. They talked for another 10 minutes about the new room, the nurses, the upcoming treatment schedule. Her mother sounded hopeful, alive. Emma hung up and stared at the ceiling. Worth it, she told herself. This is worth it. She almost believed it. The rest of the week passed in a blur of preparations Emma didn't ask for and didn't want. A stylist arrived Tuesday morning. Older woman named Margot with sharp eyes and sharper opinions. She walked Emma through the closet like a general inspecting troops, pulling dresses and discarding them with brutal efficiency. Too modest, too bold, wrong color for your skin tone. Emma stood in the center of the room in her underwear, feeling like livestock at auction. Can I have an opinion? She asked. Margot glanced at her. Do you have fashion experience? No. Then no. She pulled a deep blue gown from the rack. This. Friday night. Don't argue. Emma didn't. A makeup artist came Wednesday, taught her contouring, highlighting, techniques that felt like war paint. Emma watched herself transform in the mirror, cheekbones sharper, eyes bigger, lips fuller. She looked like someone else, someone who belonged in Dante's world. She hated it. Thursday, Vincent drilled her on etiquette, how to stand, how to hold a glass, how to smile without looking genuine. Mr. Moretti's reputation is built on control, Vincent said. You are an extension of that control. Any crack in the facade reflects on him. So I'm a prop. You're a partner. There's a difference. Is there? Vincent's expression didn't change. You'll find out Friday. Friday arrived like an execution date. Emma spent the morning at the hospital with her mother. The new facility was everything Vincent had promised. Private room, attentive staff, equipment that looked like it belonged in a sci-fi movie. Her mother looked better. Color in her cheeks, brightness in her eyes. You look tired, sweetheart, her mother said, squeezing Emma's hand. I'm fine. You're lying. Emma managed to smile. I learned from the best. Her mother laughed. The sound filled the room, filled Emma's chest with something that felt almost like hope. I start the trial Monday, her mother said. Dr. Armand, he's the lead here. He thinks I'm a good candidate, strong enough. You've always been strong. So have you. Her mother's grip tightened. Whatever you did to make this happen, Emma, thank you. I know it wasn't easy. Emma's throat closed. I'd do anything for you, Mom. I know. That's what scares me. They sat in silence for a while, holding hands, pretending the world outside didn't exist. When Emma finally left, her mother was asleep, peaceful, pain-free. Emma cried in the car on the way back to the penthouse, silent, shaking. The driver didn't say a word. The gala started at 8. Emma spent 2 hours getting ready. Margot and the makeup artist returned, transforming her into something unrecognizable. The blue gown fit like it had been painted on. Heels that made her 3 inches taller. Hair swept up, elegant, exposing her neck. She looked in the mirror and saw a stranger. Perfect, Margot said. Mr. Moretti will be pleased. Emma didn't respond. Dante was waiting in the living room when she emerged. He wore a tuxedo like it was a second skin, black, tailored, expensive. He looked up when she entered. His expression didn't change, but his eyes did. They tracked over her slowly, thoroughly, like he was cataloging every detail. You clean up well, he said finally. So do you. He crossed the room, stopped in front of her, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and woody that probably cost more than her old car. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. What's that? Emma asked. Open it. She did. Inside was a ring. Not the simple band from the contract signing. This was different. Diamond, massive, the kind of ring that made statements and broke budgets. Emma stared at it. I can't wear this. You will. Dante, it's part of the performance, Emma. People will look for it. If it's not there, they'll ask questions. He took the ring from the box and reached for her hand. Emma pulled back. I can do it myself. Let me. It wasn't a request. She extended her hand. Dante slid the ring onto her finger. His touch was warm, steady. The ring fit perfectly. Of course it did. There, he said quietly. Now you look like my wife. Emma looked down at the ring, at the weight of it, the glitter, the lie. Let's go, Dante said. We're already late. The gala was held at the Whitmore estate. Old money, older architecture, the kind of place that made you feel poor just walking through the doors. The ballroom was packed. Hundreds of people in tuxedos and gowns, champagne flowing, orchestra playing something classical Emma didn't recognize. Dante's hand settled on the small of her back as they entered. The touch sent a jolt through her. Not unpleasant. That was the problem. Smile, Dante murmured near her ear. You look terrified. I am terrified. Don't show it. Emma forced her mouth into something resembling a smile. People turned. Conversations paused. Eyes tracked them as they moved through the crowd. Dante introduced her to faces she'd never remember, names that blurred together, handshakes that felt like tests. My wife, Emma, he said over and over. Each time the word landed differently. Mine. Possession. Not partnership. Emma played her part. Smiled, nodded, laughed at jokes that weren't funny. Let Dante guide her through the room like she was an accessory to his power, and she hated every second of it. They were standing near the bar when a man approached, tall, silver hair, expensive suit, smile that didn't reach his eyes. Moretti? The man said. Didn't expect to see you here. Dante's expression didn't change. Marcus. And this must be the infamous Mrs. Moretti. Marcus extended his hand to Emma. I've heard so much about you. Emma shook his hand. His grip lingered too long. All good things, I hope, she said. Of course. Marcus's smile widened. Though I have to admit I was surprised when I heard the news. Dante's always been so private. People change, Emma said. Do they? Marcus looked at Dante. I suppose we'll see. There was something under the words, a challenge, a threat. Dante's hand tightened on Emma's back. If you'll excuse us, Dante said. Cold. Final. He steered Emma away before Marcus could respond. Who was that? Emma asked once they were out of earshot. No one important. He didn't seem like no one. Dante stopped, turned to face her. You don't need to know everything about my world, Emma. Just your part in it. My part is standing next to you. That means I need to know who to watch out for. You watch out for everyone. His voice dropped. This isn't a fairy tale. These people aren't your friends. They're predators looking for weakness. And what am I? You're the weakness they'll try to exploit. The words hit harder than they should have. Emma stepped back. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I'm being realistic. You're being an asshole. Dante's jaw tightened. Watch your tone. Or what? You'll send me back. We both know you won't. Don't test me. Why not? That's what this whole thing is, isn't it? A test. You're watching to see if I'll break, if I'll embarrass you, if I'll prove I'm not good enough for your world. Emma, I'm not stupid, Dante. I know what this is. I know what I am to you. His eyes darkened. You don't know anything. Then tell me. No. Why not? Because you're not ready. Emma laughed, sharp, bitter. I'm not ready. That's rich. You dragged me into this. You don't get to decide when I'm ready for the truth. Dante stepped closer. You want the truth? Fine. You're here because you're useful, because I needed a wife and you needed money. That's it. Don't romanticize it. Don't make it more than it is. The words should have hurt, should have confirmed everything she'd feared. But Emma had spent the last week learning to read Dante's tells, the way his jaw tightened when he lied, the way his eyes shifted when he wanted to end a conversation. He was lying. She didn't know why, but she knew. You're a terrible liar, she said quietly. Dante's expression cracked. just for a second. Then the mask slammed back into place. "Let's go," he said. "We've been here long enough." But the ride home was silent. Dante stared out the window. Emma stared at her hands, at the ring catching streetlights. When they reached the penthouse, Dante headed straight for his wing without a word. Emma stood in the entryway, still wearing the gown, still feeling like someone else. She kicked off the heels, let them fall where they landed, walked to her room, peeled off the dress and left it in a heap on the floor, stood in front of the mirror in her underwear and saw herself again. Not the polished version Margot had created, just Emma, exhausted, angry, trapped. She climbed into bed and stared at the ceiling. Sleep didn't come. Around 2 a.m., she heard footsteps in the hallway, a knock on her door. Emma sat up. "What?" The door opened. Dante stood in the doorway, still in his tux pants and white shirt, untucked, sleeves rolled up, hair disheveled like he'd been running his hands through it. "We need to talk," he said. "It's 2 a.m. "I don't care." Emma pulled the blanket up. "About what?" Dante stepped inside, closed the door behind him. "Tonight," he said. "What you said. About being a test." "What about it?" "You were right." Emma blinked. "What?" Dante crossed the room, sat on the edge of her bed. Too close. Not close enough. "I've been watching you," he said, "waiting to see if you'd crack, if you'd run, if you'd prove that this was a mistake. And you haven't." He looked at her, really looked. "You're stronger than I thought." "Is that a compliment?" "It's a fact." Emma pulled her knees to her chest. "Why does that scare you?" Dante's expression shifted. "What makes you think it scares me?" "Because you wouldn't be here at 2 a.m. if it didn't." Silence. Dante ran a hand through his hair. "Marcus, the man from tonight, he's not just a business rival. He's dangerous." "How dangerous?" "The kind that doesn't forgive." "What did you do to him?" "I took something he wanted." "What?" "Control." Dante's voice went flat. 5 years ago, we were partners. He wanted to expand into territories I knew were unstable. I refused. He went behind my back, made deals with people who shouldn't be trusted. When it collapsed, I had to clean up the mess. Cost him millions. His reputation. And now he wants revenge. Yes. Emma's stomach twisted. "What does that have to do with me?" Dante met her eyes. "You're my weakness now. He knows it. That's why he approached us tonight. He was testing, seeing if you're real." "I am real." "Not to him. To him, you're a tool, a way to get to me." Emma's hands tightened on the blanket. "So what do we do?" "We make it convincing." "It already is." "No." Dante leaned closer. "It's not. We look like a contract, like business. We need to look like more." Emma's heart pounded. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying we need to sell this, really sell it. No more distance, no more separate wings. We need to look like a real marriage." "That wasn't the deal." "The deal changed. You can't just—" "I can." His voice was steel. "Because if Marcus thinks he can use you, he will. And I won't let that happen." Emma stared at him. "Why do you care?" "Because you're mine." The words hung between them, raw, possessive, dangerous. Emma's breath caught. "I'm not yours," she whispered. Dante's hand moved, cupped her jaw, tilted her face up. "Yes," he said quietly. "You are." And then he kissed her. Not gentle, not asking, claiming. Emma's mind went blank. Her body froze, then ignited. She should have pushed him away, should have remembered this was a contract, a performance, but his mouth was warm and demanding and tasted like whiskey and something darker she couldn't name. And she kissed him back, hands in his hair, pulling him closer, drowning in the heat of it. Dante's grip tightened. His other hand slid to her waist, pulled her against him. The blanket fell away. Emma's heart slammed against her ribs. This wasn't part of the deal. This wasn't... Dante pulled back, breathing hard, eyes dark, dangerous. "That," he said roughly, "is what convincing looks like." Then he stood, walked to the door, stopped, looked back. "Get some sleep, Emma. Tomorrow we start playing for real." He left. The door clicked shut. Emma sat frozen on the bed, heart racing, lips still burning. She touched her mouth, felt the ghost of him there, and realized with absolute terrifying clarity that the most dangerous thing about Dante Moretti wasn't his power. It was the way he made her forget she was supposed to hate him, the way he made her want to stay. Emma didn't sleep. She lay in the dark, staring at the ceiling, replaying the kiss over and over until it felt less like a memory and more like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. That's what convincing looks like. His words, his voice, his mouth on hers. She pressed her fingers to her lips and felt the ghost of him there, heat and possession and something that tasted like danger wrapped in inevitability. This wasn't supposed to happen. The contract was clear. 2 years. Performance. Business. Nothing real. But that kiss had been real. Too real. Emma threw off the covers and paced the room. 3 steps to the window, 3 steps back. Her body felt electric, restless, like she'd touched a live wire and couldn't let go. She hated him for doing this, hated herself more for wanting it. Dawn crept through the windows like an apology the universe didn't mean. Emma showered, dressed in jeans and a sweater, her own clothes, not the carefully curated wardrobe Dante had provided, and left her room before she could talk herself out of it. The penthouse was silent. She made coffee in the kitchen, hands shaking slightly as she poured. The caffeine hit her system like a jolt of clarity she didn't want. Footsteps behind her. Emma turned. Dante stood in the doorway, wearing running clothes, dark athletic pants, fitted shirt that showed every line of muscle underneath. Sweat dampened his hair. He'd been working out. Of course he had. While she'd been spiraling, he'd been maintaining control. "You're up early," he said. "Couldn't sleep." Neither could I. Their eyes met, held. Emma looked away first, hated that she did. "About last night," she started. "Don't." "Don't what?" "Don't apologize. Don't analyze it. Don't make it bigger than it was." Emma's grip tightened on her coffee mug. "And what was it?" Dante crossed to the counter, poured his own coffee, took a drink before answering. "Necessary," he said finally. "That's all? What else do you want me to say?" "The truth." Dante set down his mug, turned to face her fully. "The truth is, Marcus will be watching us now. Every move, every interaction, looking for cracks, and if he finds them, he'll exploit them. So yes, Emma, it was necessary, and it'll happen again. You can't just kiss me whenever you feel like it. I can if it sells the illusion. I'm not a prop." "No." His voice dropped. "You're my wife. Start acting like it." The words landed like a slap. Emma slammed her mug down on the counter. Coffee sloshed over the rim. "You don't get to do this. You don't get to blur the lines and then act like I'm the one who doesn't understand the game." "There is no game, Emma. There's survival. And if you can't keep up, don't." Her voice shook. "Don't you dare finish that sentence." Dante's jaw tightened. "Then stop fighting me. I'll stop fighting you when you stop treating me like I'm something you bought. I did buy you." The truth of it hung between them like smoke. Emma felt something crack inside her chest. "Yeah, you did. Thanks for the reminder." She walked out before he could respond, before the tears burning behind her eyes could fall. Fuck. Emma spent the morning at the hospital. Her mother looked better, color in her cheeks, brightness in her eyes that hadn't been there in months. The clinical trial was working. Dr. Armand had said as much during rounds. Remarkable progress. If this continues, we're looking at a very positive outcome. Emma should have felt relief. Should have felt vindicated that selling herself to Dante had been worth it. But all she felt was hollow. "You seem distracted, sweetheart," her mother said, squeezing Emma's hand. "Just tired." "You're always tired." Her mother's gaze sharpened. "What's really going on?" Emma forced a smile. "Nothing, I promise. You've never been a good liar. I learned from the best." Her mother didn't laugh this time, just studied Emma with the kind of maternal X-ray vision that saw through every defense. "This man you're with," she said quietly, "the one who's paying for all this, he's good to you?" Emma's throat tightened. "He's complicated." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." Her mother's hand tightened. "Emma, If you're in trouble, I'm not. If you need help, Mom, please. Emma pulled her hand back, gently. I'm okay, really. You just focus on getting better. Her mother didn't look convinced, but she let it go. They talked about other things, the food, the nurses, the view from the window, normal things that felt like lifelines in a sea of chaos. When Emma finally left, her mother was asleep again. Peaceful. Safe. Worth it, Emma told herself for the 100th time. She almost believed it. Cook. Emma returned to the penthouse around 3. The place was still empty. Dante hadn't returned from wherever he'd gone after their fight. Good. She needed space to think, to breathe, to figure out what the hell she was doing. She was halfway to her room when her phone rang. Unknown number. Emma almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Emma Chen? A woman's voice, professional, cold. Who's asking? My name is Victoria Lang. I'm a journalist with the Metropolitan Daily. I was hoping to ask you a few questions about your marriage to Dante Moretti. Emma's blood went cold. How did you get this number? I'm very good at my job. A pause. I know this is sudden, but I'm working on a piece about Mr. Moretti's business dealings, and your marriage came up in my research. The timeline is interesting. I don't know what you're talking about. You married him 6 days ago, but you only met him 8 days ago at the Sinclair estate, where you worked as a server. Victoria's voice was smooth, calculated. That's quite the whirlwind romance. Emma's hand started shaking. I'm not discussing my personal life with a stranger. Of course, but I thought you should know. I've been digging into Mr. Moretti's past relationships, or rather, his lack of them. In 15 years of public life, he's never been photographed with a romantic partner, never been linked to anyone seriously, and then suddenly he marries a woman he just met, a woman with significant medical debt and a dying mother. The words hit like bullets. I'm not judging Ms. Chen, I'm just stating facts. Facts that will come out whether you talk to me or not. But if you give me your side of the story, at least you'll have some control over the narrative. Emma's mind raced. What do you want? The truth. Did Dante Moretti pay you to marry him? No. Are you sure? Because my sources suggest your sources are wrong. Emma's voice came out harder than she intended. I'm not talking to you. Don't call this number again. She hung up, stood there, shaking. The phone rang again immediately. Emma blocked the number, but the damage was done. Someone was digging. Someone knew. And if they went public with this, if they exposed the contract, the money, the arrangement, everything would collapse. The deal, her mother's treatment, Dante's reputation, all of it. Emma's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the couch, phone clutched in her hand. This can't be happening. The front door opened. Dante walked in, already pulling off his jacket. He stopped when he saw her face. What happened? Emma looked up. We have a problem, Roberts. Dante listened without interrupting. His expression didn't change as Emma recounted the phone call. Didn't shift when she repeated Victoria Lang's questions. Didn't crack when she finished with the terrified admission that someone was investigating them. When she was done, he pulled out his phone. Dialed. Vincent. I need everything you have on Victoria Lang. Metropolitan Daily. Journalist. Yes. Now. He hung up, looked at Emma. Did you say anything incriminating? No. You're sure? Yes. Good. He sat down across from her. This was inevitable. Someone was always going to ask questions. Inevitable? Emma's voice pitched higher. Dante, if she publishes, she won't. You can't know that. Yes, I can. His voice was steel. Because Victoria Lang is smart. And smart journalists don't publish stories that'll get them sued into oblivion without ironclad proof. She said she had sources. Sources aren't proof. Speculation isn't proof. Unless someone gives her the actual contract, she has nothing. Emma's stomach dropped. The contract is locked in my safe. Only I have access. What about Vincent? Vincent is loyal. What about Marcus? Dante's expression darkened. Marcus doesn't know about the contract. No one does except you, me, and Vincent. Then how did she? Because people talk, Emma. They see things. They make assumptions. Someone noticed you went from server to my wife in 48 hours and started asking questions. He leaned forward. But asking questions isn't the same as having answers. Emma wanted to believe him, wanted to trust that Dante had this under control, the way he seemed to have everything under control. But the fear wouldn't let go. "What do we do?" she asked. "We do exactly what we've been doing. We act like a real couple. We give them nothing to question." His eyes locked onto hers. "And you don't talk to journalists, ever, about anything." "I already said no." "Good. Keep saying no." Emma nodded, but her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Dante noticed. He reached across the space between them and covered her hands with his. His touch was warm, steady, anchoring. "Hey," he said quietly. "Look at me." Emma did. "I won't let anything happen to you," Dante said. "Or your mother. That's a promise." "You can't promise that." "I just did." Emma wanted to argue, wanted to point out that promises from men like Dante Moretti meant nothing in a world built on contracts and leverage. But the way he was looking at her, intense, focused, like she was the only thing that mattered, made her want to believe anyway. "Okay," she whispered. Dante's thumb brushed across her knuckles. Once. Twice. Then he pulled back, stood. "I have a meeting. Stay here. Don't answer the door. Don't answer calls from numbers you don't recognize." "Dante." "Promise me, Emma." She nodded. "I promise." He left, and Emma sat alone in the pristine penthouse, surrounded by luxury that felt more like a cage than ever before. The call came 3 hours later, not to Emma's phone, to the hospital. Dr. Armand's voice was tight when Emma answered. "Ms. Chen, we have a situation." Emma's heart stopped. "Is my mother—" "Your mother is fine. But we had an incident this afternoon. A woman claiming to be a family friend tried to gain access to your mother's room. When staff stopped her, she identified herself as a journalist." "No." "Victoria Lang," Emma said. "You know her? She called me this morning. I told her no comment." "Well, she's persistent." Dr. Armand's voice was grim. "Security escorted her out, but she was asking questions about your mother's treatment, how it's being paid for, whether there were any unusual circumstances." Emma's vision blurred. "What did you tell her?" "Nothing. Patient privacy laws prevent us from discussing anything without written consent. But Ms. Chen," he paused, "she's not going to stop. And if she finds another way in—" "She won't!" Emma's voice came out harder than she intended. "I'll handle it." She hung up. Dialed Dante. He answered on the first ring. "Emma?" "She went to the hospital, Victoria Lang. She tried to get to my mother." Silence. Then, "Where are you?" "The penthouse." "Stay there. I'm coming back." "Dante." "Stay. There." The line went dead. Emma paced the living room like a caged animal. Her mind spun through worst-case scenarios. Victoria Lang publishing a story. The contract being exposed. Her mother finding out the truth. The door slammed open 20 minutes later. Dante stormed in, fury written across every line of his body. He wasn't alone. Vincent followed, carrying a tablet and looking grimmer than Emma had ever seen him. "Tell her," Dante said. Vincent looked at Emma. "Victoria Lang isn't just a journalist. She's Marcus Sullivan's goddaughter." The world tilted. "What?" Emma's voice came out strangled. "Marcus funded her journalism degree. Got her the job at the Metropolitan Daily. She's been his inside source for years, digging up dirt on his enemies, planting stories when he needs leverage." "So this isn't about a story," Emma said slowly. "This is about Marcus." "Yes." Dante's voice was ice. "He sent her to rattle you, to find proof, to tear apart everything we've built." Emma sank onto the couch. "Why?" "Because he knows the best way to destroy me is through you." Dante crouched in front of her. "He's been waiting for me to show weakness, and when I married you, when I gave him a target, he took it." "So what do? We give him nothing." Dante's hands gripped her knees. "No cracks, no breaks, no proof. And if he finds the contract, he won't. But if he does, then we deal with it. Dante's voice softened. Together. Emma looked at him, at the determination in his eyes, the absolute certainty that they could survive this. She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to believe him. But fear had teeth, and they were sinking deep. Inkchum. The story broke 48 hours later, not in the Metropolitan Daily, on a gossip blog. Emma woke to 17 missed calls and twice as many texts. She grabbed her phone with shaking hands and opened the first link someone had sent. Moretti's marriage, business or pleasure? Billionaire mogul Dante Moretti shocked the business world last week with his surprise marriage to Emma Chen, a former hospitality worker with no social connections and significant financial troubles. Sources close to the couple suggest the relationship may be less romantic fairy tale and more calculated business arrangement. Chen's mother is currently receiving treatment at the exclusive Greenhouse Medical Facility, treatment that costs upwards of $500,000. How does a woman working minimum wage afford that? Perhaps the same way she affords designer gowns and penthouse living. Some marriages are made in heaven, others are made in boardrooms. Emma couldn't breathe. The article was vicious, clever, just vague enough to avoid direct accusations, but damning enough to plant seeds. And it was everywhere. Her phone kept buzzing, texts from people she hadn't spoken to in years, friends from her old life, coworkers from the catering company. Is this true? Did you really marry him for money? Emma, what the hell is going on? She scrolled through them all, numb, until she reached one that made her blood run cold. From her mother's nurse. Your mother saw the article. She's asking for you. Emma was out the door before she could think. Grabbed her coat, her keys. Didn't tell anyone where she was going. The hospital was a 15-minute drive that felt like hours. She burst into her mother's room, breathless, terrified of what she'd find. Her mother was sitting up in bed, tablet in her lap. Article pulled up on the screen. She looked up when Emma entered. Tell me it's not true, her mother said quietly. Emma froze. Mom, tell me you didn't marry a stranger for money so you could pay for my treatment. The words hung in the air like a guillotine. Emma's throat closed. It's not that simple. Then explain it to me. I can't. Why not? Because, Emma's voice cracked. Because you'll hate me. Her mother's expression shattered. Emma, sweetheart, I could never hate you. You don't know what I did. So tell me. Emma sank into the chair beside the bed, pressed her hands to her face, felt tears she'd been holding back for days finally break through. You were dying, she whispered. The doctor said without the trial, you had maybe 6 months. I couldn't afford it. I couldn't afford anything. I was drowning, and I didn't know what to do. And then Dante offered me a way out. A contract marriage. Yes. For how long? 2 years. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. Then, do you love him? The question gutted Emma. I don't know, she admitted. I don't know what I feel. It was supposed to be fake, just a performance. But somewhere along the way, it started feeling real. And that terrifies me. Why? Because I don't trust it. I don't trust him. I don't trust myself. Emma looked up, eyes red. And now someone's trying to destroy us, and I don't know if we're strong enough to survive it. Her mother reached out, took Emma's hand. Listen to me, she said firmly. I didn't raise you to be a martyr. If you married this man to save my life, I understand. I'm not happy about it. I wish you'd talk to me first. But I understand. She squeezed Emma's hand. But if somewhere in all this mess you found something real, don't throw it away because you're afraid. What if it's not real? What if it's just the situation making me feel things that aren't there? Then you'll figure that out when the situation ends. But right now, you're in it. So fight for it. Or walk away. But don't just survive, Emma. You deserve more than that. Emma's tears fell harder. Her mother pulled her into a hug. And for the first time in days, Emma let herself break. She returned to the penthouse 3 hours later. Dante was waiting in the living room, pacing, phone in hand. He stopped when he saw her. Where the hell were you? Hospital. I called 12 times. I know. You can't just disappear, Emma. Not now, not when... He stopped, looked at her more closely. You've been crying. My mother saw the article. Dante's expression shifted. What did you tell her? The truth. All of it? Enough. Dante exhaled slowly, ran a hand through his hair. And? And she's not happy, but she understands. Emma dropped her coat on a chair. Someone's trying to destroy us, Dante, and I need to know if we're going to fight back or if we're just going to keep pretending until it all falls apart. We fight. How? By making Marcus regret ever coming after us. Dante's voice was cold, lethal. I've been playing defense. That ends now. What are you going to do? Whatever it takes. Emma looked at him, at the fury barely contained beneath his calm exterior, at the dangerous man she'd married without really knowing. I need you to promise me something, she said. What? That whatever you do, you don't cross a line you can't come back from. Dante stepped closer. I crossed that line the day I married you. Dante, no. He cupped her face, forced her to look at him. You want the truth? Here it is. I didn't marry you just because you were convenient. I married you because when you spilled wine on me and looked me in the eye without flinching, I saw something I haven't seen in 15 years. Someone who wasn't afraid of me. Someone who pushed back. His thumb brushed her cheek. And now Marcus wants to take that away. Wants to prove you're just another transaction. Just another piece on the board. Aren't I? No. His word was absolute. Not anymore. Emma's heart stuttered. When did that change? I don't know. Somewhere between the contract and the kiss. Somewhere between watching you fight me every step of the way and realizing I didn't want you to stop. His eyes searched hers. So yes, Emma, we're going to fight, and we're going to win, because I'm not giving you up. The words should have scared her, should have sent her running, but all Emma felt was heat, certainty, the terrifying realization that she didn't want to run anymore. She kissed him, not calculated, not for show, just need. Dante responded instantly, hands in her hair, mouth hungry, consuming. They stumbled backward, hit the wall. Emma gasped as his body pressed against hers, solid and overwhelming and exactly what she needed. Emma, he breathed against her mouth. Don't stop. If we do this, I know. There's no going back. I know. Dante pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. You're sure? No. Emma's hands fisted in his shirt. But I'm done pretending I don't want this. Something in Dante's expression cracked. The control. The distance. All of it. He kissed her again. Harder. Deeper. And Emma let herself fall. Tikat. They made it to his room. Barely. Clothes hit the floor, hands explored, boundaries dissolved. Emma had never felt more alive, more terrified, more certain that this was either the best decision she'd ever made or the worst. Maybe both. Afterward, they lay tangled in sheets that cost more than her old apartment's rent. Dante's arm was around her head on his chest, their breathing slowly returning to normal. That was... Emma started. Don't. Dante's voice was rough. Don't analyze it. I was going to say intense. It was necessary. Emma lifted her head, looked at him. Is that all it was? Dante met her eyes, and for the first time she saw the truth there. No, he admitted. It wasn't. Emma's heart clenched. She should have asked what it meant, should have demanded clarity, but she was too afraid of the answer, so she just settled back against his chest and let the silence speak for both of them. Emma woke to her phone ringing. 3:47 a.m. Unknown number. She grabbed it instinctively, still half asleep. Hello? Emma Chen? A man's voice. Unfamiliar, cold. Who is this? Someone who knows what you and Dante are hiding, and if you want it to stay hidden, you'll meet me. Tomorrow. 10 a.m., corner of 5th and Lexington. Come alone. I don't... Come alone, Miss Chen, or everyone finds out exactly what kind of marriage you're really in. The line went dead. Emma sat up, heart pounding. Beside her, Dante stirred. What's wrong? Emma looked at him, at the man she'd just slept with, the man who'd promised to protect her, the man whose world was about to implode. We have a problem, she whispered. And somewhere in the dark city below, someone was holding a match to everything they'd built, waiting to watch it burn. Dante was already out of bed before Emma finished explaining. He grabbed his phone from the nightstand, fingers moving fast across the screen. His jaw was tight, shoulders tense, every muscle coiled like he was preparing for war. "What are you doing?" Emma asked, pulling the sheet around herself. "Calling Vincent." "Dante, it's 4 in the morning. Sing." "I don't care." He pressed the phone to his ear, waited. "Vincent, I need a trace on a number, now." He rattled off the digits from Emma's call log. "I want to know who it is, where they called from, and everything you can find on them within the hour." He hung up without waiting for confirmation. Turned to Emma. "You're not going." He said, "Come alone." "I don't give a damn what he said. You're not meeting some unknown threat in a public location without backup. If I don't show up, he'll release whatever he has. And if you do show up, you could end up dead." Dante's voice was steel. "This is Marcus. It has to be. He's escalating." "You don't know that." "Yes, I do. Because this is exactly what I would do if I wanted to apply maximum pressure." He crossed the room, grabbed clothes from his closet, started dressing with sharp, efficient movements. "Marcus doesn't make idle threats. If someone called you at 4 in the morning, it's because he wants you scared, wants you desperate enough to make a mistake." Emma's hands tightened on the sheet. "So what do? We set a trap of our own." By 6 a.m., the penthouse had transformed into a war room. Vincent arrived with 2 other men Emma had never seen before, both tall, broad-shouldered, wearing suits that couldn't quite hide the weapons underneath. They spoke in low voices with Dante, spreading documents across the dining table. Emma sat on the couch, dressed now, watching the controlled chaos unfold. Vincent approached her, tablet in hand. "The number was a burner phone," he said. "Purchased yesterday at a convenience store in Brooklyn. Cash transaction. No cameras." "So we have nothing," Emma said. "We have the location, 5th and Lexington. That intersection is 2 blocks from Sullivan Holdings, Marcus's corporate headquarters." Emma's stomach twisted. "He's not even trying to hide it. He doesn't need to. He thinks he's already won." Dante joined them, coffee in hand. He looked like he hadn't slept, which he hadn't, but his eyes were sharp, focused, dangerous. "We're going to the meeting," he said. Emma stood. "I thought you said—" "You're going, but you won't be alone. We'll have eyes on you from 3 different positions, cameras, audio. The second something goes wrong, we extract you. And if nothing goes wrong, if he actually has proof of the contract, then we negotiate." Dante's voice was flat. "But we do it from a position of strength, not fear." Emma wanted to argue, wanted to tell him this was insane, that walking into Marcus's trap was exactly what he wanted them to do. But the alternative was waiting, hiding, letting Marcus control the narrative. And Emma was done being controlled. "Okay," she said. "What do I need to do?" At 9:30, Emma stood on the corner of 5th and Lexington, wearing jeans, a sweater, and a wire so small she could barely feel it against her skin. The city moved around her, morning rush, coffee-clutching professionals, delivery trucks rumbling past. Normal. Ordinary. Nothing felt normal. Emma's heart hammered against her ribs. Her palms were sweating despite the cold air. She kept her hands in her pockets, fingers curled into fists. In her ear, Dante's voice came through crystal clear. "I've got eyes on you. Vincent's across the street. Marco's in the coffee shop to your left. You're covered." "Where are you?" Emma asked quietly. "Close enough." Not an answer. Emma scanned the intersection, looking for threats, for Marcus, for whoever had called her at 4 in the morning with a voice like gravel and threats. A black sedan pulled up to the curb. The back door opened. A man stepped out. Not Marcus. Someone else. Younger. Maybe 40. Expensive suit, cold eyes. He looked at Emma like she was a problem he'd been hired to solve. "Emma Chen," he said. Not a question. "Who are you?" "Someone who wants to help you." "I don't need help." "Yes, you do. Get in the car." "Not a chance." The man smiled, thin, sharp. "You misunderstand. That wasn't a request." 2 more men emerged from the sedan, bigger, less polished. Emma's blood went cold. In her ear, Dante's voice exploded. "Emma, walk away, now. She took a step back. One of the men moved forward, fast. Emma ran. Not away from the intersection, toward the coffee shop where Marco was stationed. Her legs pumped. Adrenaline flooded her system. She heard footsteps behind her. Shouts. She burst through the coffee shop door. Marco was already moving. He grabbed her arm, pulled her behind the counter. The barista screamed. The two men from the sedan crashed through the door. Marco stepped between them and Emma, hand reaching inside his jacket. "I wouldn't," one of the men said. He lifted his jacket just enough to show his own weapon. "We just want to talk." "Looks more like kidnapping," Marco said. "Looks can be deceiving." Outside, tires screeched. Emma turned. Through the window, she saw another car, sleek, black, familiar, slammed to a stop in the middle of the intersection. The door flew open. Dante stepped out, and the world tilted. He didn't look like the controlled businessman she'd married. He looked like violence barely leashed, fury in human form. He crossed the street with purpose. The two men in the coffee shop saw him coming. Their confidence cracked. Dante pushed through the door. Silence fell. He looked at Emma first. "You hurt?" "No." "Good." He turned to the men. "Who sent you?" Neither answered. Dante moved faster than Emma thought possible. He grabbed the closest man by the throat, slammed him against the wall hard enough to crack plaster. "I asked you a question." The man choked, clawed at Dante's hand. "Dante," Emma started. "Stay back." His voice was ice. The second man reached for his weapon. Marco had his out first. "Don't!" Everything froze. Dante tightened his grip. "Last chance. Who sent you?" The man's face was turning purple. "Sullivan?" Dante released him. The man collapsed, gasping. "Get out," Dante said quietly. "Tell Marcus if he wants me, he comes himself. He doesn't send errand boys to threaten my wife." The men scrambled for the door. Left. The sedan peeled away from the curb, silence. The barista was crying. Other customers had their phones out, recording. "We need to go," Vincent's voice said through Emma's earpiece. "Now." Dante grabbed Emma's hand. "With me." They were out the door before she could process what had just happened. The car ride back was silent. Dante's hand was still wrapped around Emma's. His grip was tight enough to hurt. She didn't pull away. When they reached the penthouse, Dante didn't let go until they were inside with the door locked behind them. Then he turned on her. "What the hell were you thinking?" Emma blinked. "What?" "Running toward the coffee shop instead of away. You could have been shot, grabbed, hurt." "I was trying to get to Marco." "How?" "Marco's job is to protect you, not the other way around. You don't run toward danger, Emma. You run away from it." "I panicked." "Exactly. You panicked and made yourself a target." Dante's voice was rising, losing control. "Do you have any idea what could have happened? What they could have done to you?" "I'm fine." "You're not fine. None of this is fine." He turned away, hands in his hair. "Marcus just sent men to grab you off the street in broad daylight. Do you understand what that means?" Emma's legs felt weak. She sat down hard on the couch. "He's not playing games anymore." "No, he's declaring war." Dante turned back to her. "And you're the target. So what do we do?" "I end this." The way he said it made Emma's blood run cold. "What does that mean?" "It means I'm done reacting, done defending. Marcus wants a fight? I'll give him one." "Dante, no." He crouched in front of her, gripped her knees. "Listen to me. Marcus crossed a line today. He put his hands on you. That's not something I forgive. That's not something I let go." Emma saw it in his eyes, the shift, the decision already made. "What are you going to do?" she whispered. Dante's jaw tightened. "Whatever it takes to keep you safe." See, the plan came together in 3 hours. Vincent brought files, documents, evidence of every illegal deal Marcus had made in the last decade. Shell companies, money laundering, bribes, all of it meticulously documented. "Where did you get this?" Emma asked, staring at the mountain of paper spread across the table. "I've been collecting it for years," Dante said. "Insurance. Marcus and I were partners once. I knew eventually he'd turn on me, so I made sure I had leverage." "And you're going to release it?" "I'm going to give him a choice. He backs off, or I burn his empire to the ground." Emma looked at the documents, at the evidence of crimes that could put Marcus away for decades. This is mutually assured destruction, she said. Yes. If you release this, it'll come back on you too. You were partners. You're implicated in some of these deals. I know. Dante. Emma. He turned to face her fully. I told you I'd do whatever it takes. I meant it. If destroying Marcus means taking myself down too, that's a price I'm willing to pay. But I'm not. Emma's voice cracked. I didn't marry you so you could sacrifice yourself. You married me for money. The words landed like a slap. Emma recoiled. That's not fair. It's the truth. It was the truth. Past tense. Emma stood, trembling. You don't get to do this. You don't get to act like what we have doesn't matter just so you can justify some suicide mission. What we have is a contract. Bullshit. Emma's hands fisted. We slept together last night. We crossed every line in that contract. And now you want to pretend it meant nothing? Dante's expression was stone. It meant I was weak. No, it meant you're human. Emma stepped closer. And humans don't blow up their entire lives because they're too proud to find another way. There is no other way. Then we find one. How, Emma? Marcus sent men to kidnap you in broad daylight. He's not going to stop. He's not going to negotiate. The only language he understands is power. And the only power I have is the ability to destroy him. At the cost of destroying yourself. Yes. Emma felt tears burn her eyes. I can't lose you. The words hung in the air, raw, honest, terrifying. Dante's mask cracked. Just for a second. She saw the man underneath, the one who was just as scared as she was. You won't lose me, he said quietly. You can't promise that. I can try. Vincent cleared his throat. Both of them turned. We have another problem, Vincent said. He held up his tablet. Victoria Lang just published a follow-up article. With photos. Emma's stomach dropped. Photos of what? Vincent turned the screen. Emma's face went white. The photos were from this morning. Outside the coffee shop. Dante slamming the man against the wall. Marco with his weapon drawn. Emma's terrified expression. The headline read, Moretti's marriage turns violent. Wife caught in dangerous altercation. No, Emma breathed. The article was worse than the photos. It painted Dante as a violent criminal, Emma as either a victim or a co-conspirator. Every word was carefully chosen to suggest danger, instability, illegality, and it was trending. 20,000 shares in the first hour, Vincent said grimly. Every major outlet is picking it up. Dante's phone started ringing. He looked at the screen, ignored it. It rang again and again. You need to answer, Vincent said. Dante picked up. What? Emma couldn't hear the other side of the conversation, but she watched Dante's expression harden with each passing second. Understood, he said finally. I'll handle it. He hung up, looked at Emma. That was my lawyer. The board is calling an emergency meeting. They want me to step down as CEO pending an investigation into the altercation. Emma felt the room spin. They can't do that. They can, and they will, unless I give them a reason not to. What reason? The truth about Marcus, about what he's been doing, about why he's targeting us. Dante's voice was flat. I go public with everything, release the documents, burn it all down, and destroy yourself in the process. Yes. Emma's mind raced. There had to be another way, something they weren't seeing. What if we flip it? She said suddenly. Dante frowned. What? What if instead of releasing the documents, we give them to Marcus? Tell him we have them. Tell him we'll release them unless he backs off. That's what I'm planning to do. No, you're planning to release them regardless. I'm saying we negotiate. We use the threat, not the action. Vincent shook his head. Marcus won't believe it. He'll call the bluff. Then we prove it's not a bluff. We give him something small, one document, one transaction, enough to show we're serious. Dante studied her. And if he still doesn't back down? Then you release everything. But at least we tried. Silence. Dante looked at Vincent. Could it work? Maybe. If Marcus believes you're willing to go down with him. Vincent paused. But he'd need to hear it from you, face to face. Then that's what we'll do. Dante pulled out his phone, started typing. I'll arrange a meeting, tonight, neutral location. Emma grabbed his arm. I'm coming with you. Absolutely not. He's targeting me, Dante. I have a right to be there. And I have a responsibility to keep you safe. You're not walking into a room with Marcus. You don't get to make that decision. Yes, I do. I'm your husband. In a contract marriage, not a dictatorship. Dante's eyes flashed. Emma. No? You don't get to shut me out. Not after everything. Not after last night. Not after telling me we're in this together. Her voice shook. If you're going to confront Marcus, I'm going with you. End of discussion. They stared at each other, neither backing down. Finally, Dante exhaled. Fine, but you stay behind me. You don't speak unless I tell you to. And at the first sign of danger, you run. Understood? Understood. I mean it, Emma. If things go wrong, they won't. If they do, you run. You get to safety. You don't try to be a hero. Emma nodded, even though every instinct told her she was lying. Because if things went wrong, she wasn't leaving Dante. Not for anything. Sulk. The meeting was set for 8 p.m. Neutral location turned out to be a private room in a restaurant Marcus partially owned. Not ideal, but Dante agreed anyway. Vincent protested, called it a setup, insisted they bring backup. Dante refused. If we show up with an army, it sends the wrong message. We need to look confident, in control, like we're negotiating from strength, not fear. And if Marcus has his own army waiting, Vincent asked, then we deal with it. Emma spent the afternoon trying not to think about all the ways this could go wrong. She showered, changed into a simple black dress, armor disguised as elegance, pulled her hair back, put on makeup that hid how terrified she was. When she emerged from her room, Dante was waiting. He'd changed too. Black suit, no tie. He looked dangerous and devastating and completely in control. You ready? He asked. No. Good. Neither am I. They rode to the restaurant in silence. Emma's hand found Dante's in the dark car. He laced his fingers through hers, held on like she was the only thing keeping him grounded. The restaurant was upscale, quiet, the kind of place where conversations were had in whispers and deals were made over wine that cost more than most people's mortgages. A hostess led them to a private room in the back. Marcus was already there. He sat at the head of a long table, perfectly at ease, wine glass in hand, smile on his face like he was welcoming old friends. Dante, he said warmly. Emma, so glad you could make it. Dante didn't smile. Let's skip the pleasantries. Of course, straight to business. That's what I always liked about you. Marcus gestured to the empty chairs. Sit, please. Emma sat. Dante remained standing. I prefer to stand, Dante said. Suit yourself. Marcus took a sip of wine. So, to what do I owe this unexpected pleasure? You know exactly why I'm here. Do I? You sent men to grab my wife off the street this morning. You planted a journalist to dig into our marriage. You're trying to destroy my reputation, my business, and everything I've built. Dante's voice was ice. I'm here to tell you it ends now. Marcus's smile widened. Or what? Dante pulled out a folder, set it on the table. Or I release every piece of evidence I have documenting your illegal activities over the last 15 years. Fraud, money laundering, bribery, extortion, all of it. Enough to put you away for the rest of your life. Marcus didn't touch the folder, didn't even look at it. You're bluffing. Open it. Marcus hesitated, then reached for the folder. He flipped through the first few pages. His expression didn't change, but Emma saw his knuckles go white. Where did you get this? Marcus asked quietly. I told you. We were partners once. I know where all the bodies are buried, because I helped you bury some of them. Then releasing this destroys you too. I'm aware. You'd really burn your own empire just to take me down? Yes. Marcus closed the folder, pushed it back across the table. I don't believe you. Then test me. The room went silent. Emma could hear her own heartbeat, could feel the tension coiling tighter and tighter. Marcus leaned back in his chair, studied Dante like he was seeing him for the first time. You know what your problem is, Dante? You care too much. That pretty little wife of yours, she's made you soft, made you vulnerable. He looked at Emma. Tell me, Mrs. Moretti, was it worth it? Selling yourself for medical bills? Emma's jaw tightened. You don't know anything about me. I know you're a liability. I know Dante never would have made this desperate play if you weren't in the picture, which means the fastest way to end this is to remove you from the equation. Dante moved. 1 second he was standing still. The next he had Marcus by the throat, slamming him against the wall. You threaten her again, Dante said, voice deadly quiet. And I won't need evidence. I'll just kill you myself. Emma stood. Dante? The door burst open. 3 men flooded in, Marcus's security, weapons drawn. Dante didn't let go. Call them off, he said. Marcus smiled through the chokehold. Why would I do that? Because if they shoot me, my lawyer releases everything, automatically. It's already set up. I die, you go to prison. That's the deal. You're bluffing. Try me. The standoff held. Emma's heart slammed against her ribs. She looked at the guns, at Dante's hand still wrapped around Marcus's throat, at the absolute certainty that this was about to explode into violence. Please, she said, to Marcus, to the guards, to anyone who would listen. Please just stop, all of you. Stay out of this, Emma, Dante said. No. She stepped forward, hands raised. This is insane. You're both willing to destroy everything over pride, over control. But what's the point? What do either of you actually win? Emma, Dante started. He's right about one thing, Emma said, looking at Marcus. I am Dante's weakness. But you know what? He's mine too. Which means I have just as much to lose as he does. So here's what's going to happen. Dante's going to let you go. You're going to call off your dogs. And we're going to negotiate like adults instead of children throwing tantrums. You think you can negotiate with me? Marcus rasped. I think I'm the only one in this room who isn't too stubborn to try. Silence. Then slowly, Marcus raised his hand, gestured to his men. They lowered their weapons. Dante released him. Marcus coughed, straightened his jacket. You've got nerve. I'll give you that. I've got common sense, Emma said, which apparently is in short supply around here. Marcus laughed. Actually laughed. I like her, Dante. She's got more spine than half the men who work for me. What's your point? Dante asked. My point is, maybe we can make a deal after all. Marcus sat back down, gestured to the chairs. Sit. Both of you. Let's talk like civilized people. Dante looked at Emma. She nodded. They sat. Marcus poured 3 glasses of wine, slid 2 across the table. Here's what I want, he said. You leave the Riverside development alone. It's mine. Has been for 2 years. You've been sniffing around it, trying to muscle in. That ends. That project is worth $200 million, Dante said. And it's mine. It's a disaster waiting to happen. The permits are forged. The inspections are fake. When that building collapses, people will die. That's not my problem. It will be when the families sue and the media tears you apart. Marcus's expression hardened. Then I'll deal with it. By covering it up? Bribing officials? Burying evidence? Dante leaned forward. That's exactly the kind of thing in those documents, Marcus. The reason I kept them. Because I knew you'd never stop, never learn, never care who got hurt as long as you got paid. And you're so different? Yes. Dante's voice was absolute. Because I walked away. 5 years ago, I could have stayed. Could have kept playing your games. But I chose not to. I chose to build something legitimate. Something that didn't require blood money. How noble. It's called having a conscience. Conscience doesn't pay the bills, Dante. No, but it lets me sleep at night. Marcus took a long drink of wine. So what do you want, really? Because we both know you didn't come here just to threaten me. I want you to leave Emma alone. Leave my business alone. Walk away. And in exchange, I'll stay out of Riverside. I'll let you build your death trap. And when it collapses, and it will, I won't say I told you so. That's it? That's it, Marcus considered. And the documents? Stay locked away, as long as you honor the deal. And if I don't? Then I release everything, and we both go down in flames. Marcus smiled. Mutually assured destruction. I taught you well. You taught me a lot of things, including when to walk away. They stared at each other across the table. Finally, Marcus extended his hand. Deal. Dante hesitated, then shook. Emma exhaled. She hadn't realized she'd been holding her breath. "One more thing," Marcus said. He looked at Emma. "I owe you an apology, Mrs. Moretti. My methods were aggressive, unnecessarily so. I hope there are no hard feelings." Emma wanted to throw her wine in his face. Instead, she smiled. "No hard feelings." Liar. They stood. The meeting was over. As they walked toward the door, Marcus called out, "Dante!" Dante turned. "She really has changed you, hasn't she?" Dante didn't answer, just walked out. Emma followed. They made it to the car before Dante's control finally broke. He slammed his fist against the hood. Once, twice, hard enough to leave dents. Emma grabbed his arm. "Dante, stop!" "I let him walk." His voice was ragged. "I had him. I had everything I needed to destroy him. And I let him walk. You made a deal. I compromised. I gave up ground. That's not how I do business, Emma. That's not who I am." "No, it's who you're becoming." She turned him to face her. "You chose the option that didn't destroy everything. That's not weakness, Dante. That's strength." "It doesn't feel like strength." "It will. Eventually." Dante pulled her into his arms, held on tight. "I could have lost you today," he muttered into her hair. "When those men came after you, when Marcus threatened you, I could have lost you. But you didn't. But I could have. And that terrifies me more than anything Marcus could ever do." Emma pulled back, looked up at him. "I'm not going anywhere," she said. "You can't promise that." "Yes, I can, because I—" She stopped. The words caught in her throat. Dante's eyes searched hers. "Because you what?" Emma swallowed, heart pounding. "Say it. Just say it." "Because I love you." The words hung in the air, raw, honest, terrifying. Dante's expression shattered. "Emma, I know it's complicated. I know we started as a contract. I know there are 1,000 reasons this is a terrible idea, but I don't care anymore. I love you, Dante, and I need you to know that before—" He kissed her, hard, desperate, like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you too," he whispered. "And that scares me more than Marcus. More than losing my company. More than anything." "Why?" "Because I don't know how to do this. How to be vulnerable. How to let someone in. How to be someone's—" "Partner," Emma finished. "Not owner, not boss. Partner. I'm not good at that." "Then we'll learn together." Dante laughed, raw, real. "You make it sound simple. It's not, but it's worth trying." They stood there in the parking lot holding each other while the world kept spinning and Marcus plotted and the future remained uncertain. But for the first time since Emma signed that contract, she felt something like hope. Like maybe, just maybe, they could survive this. Together. The peace lasted exactly 16 hours. Emma woke the next morning to Dante's phone ringing. He grabbed it, still half asleep. "What?" Emma couldn't hear the response, but she watched Dante's face go from sleepy to alert to absolutely furious in 3 seconds. He sat up. "When?" A pause. "I'm on my way." He hung up, started dressing. "What happened?" Emma asked. "Riverside, Marcus's building project. There was an explosion last night. 3 workers dead, 7 injured." Emma's blood went cold. "Oh my God. And Marcus is blaming me, saying I sabotaged it because he wouldn't sell." Dante's voice was ice. "It's all over the news. My name, my company, they're calling it corporate terrorism. That's insane. Insane or not, it's working. My board is in full panic mode. Investors are pulling out. The stock is tanking." He grabbed his jacket. "I have to go, damage control." "I'm coming with you." "Emma, so—" "No arguments. We're partners, remember? That means I don't sit on the sidelines while your world burns." Dante looked at her, really looked, then nodded. "Get dressed, fast." They were out the door in 5 minutes. The car ride to Dante's office was silent. Emma checked her phone. The news was everywhere. Photos of the explosion, survivors being carried out on stretchers, and Dante's face plastered across every headline. Moretti linked to fatal explosion. Deadly blast at Riverside, business. Rival suspected Moretti's dark past catches up. This is Marcus, Emma said quietly. He planned this. I know. We have to prove it. With what? He covered his tracks. The explosion will look like faulty construction, which it probably was. But he'll spin it to make me look guilty. So we find evidence. We expose him. With what time, Emma? By the time we prove anything, my company will be destroyed. My reputation will be ashes. Everything I've built, gone. His voice was flat, defeated. Emma had never heard him sound like that. It scared her more than Marcus's threats. They reached the office. Reporters swarmed the entrance. Cameras, microphones, shouted questions. Mr. Moretti, did you sabotage the Riverside project? Is it true you threatened Marcus Sullivan? What do you say to the families of the victims? Dante kept his head down, pushed through the crowd with Emma's hand tight in his. They made it inside. The lobby was chaos. Employees everywhere, phones ringing, panic in every face. Vincent met them at the elevators. The board wants you in the conference room. Now. Tell them I'll be there in 5 minutes. They said now, Dante. I said 5 minutes. Vincent looked like he wanted to argue. Didn't. They rode the elevator up in silence. Dante's office was on the top floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows, view of the entire city, the city that was currently turning against him. Dante walked to the window, stared out at the skyline. Emma joined him, took his hand. We'll figure this out, she said. How? I don't know yet, but we will. Dante's phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. His expression went dark. What is it? Emma asked. He turned the phone so she could see. A text from an unknown number. You should have taken my deal, Dante. Now you'll lose everything, starting with her. Below the text was a photo of Emma's mother, asleep in her hospital bed at Greenhouse Medical. Emma's vision blurred. No. Dante was already dialing. Vincent, get security to Greenhouse Medical, now. Emma's mother, full protective detail. No one gets near her room. He listened. I don't care what it costs. Just do it. He hung up, looked at Emma. He's not going to stop, Dante said quietly. As long as we're together, he'll keep coming, keep threatening, keep hurting people we care about. So what are you saying? Dante's jaw tightened. I'm saying maybe the only way to end this is to give him what he wants. Which is? Me. Broken. Destroyed. Alone. Emma's heart stopped. No. Emma, no, we're not doing this. We're not giving up. I'm not giving up. I'm protecting you. By what? Pushing me away? Ending the marriage? That's exactly what Marcus wants. And maybe he's right. Maybe you're safer without me. Emma grabbed his face, forced him to look at her. Listen to me. I didn't fall in love with you so you could sacrifice yourself to save me. We're in this together, all of it. The danger, the fear, the fight. Together. Do you understand? Dante's eyes were tortured. I can't lose you. Then don't push me away. Emma. The office door burst open. Vincent stood there, face pale. We have a problem. Another one? Dante asked. Marcus just called a press conference. He's about to go live. They turned to the TV on the wall. Vincent grabbed the remote, turned it on. Marcus's face filled the screen. He stood behind a podium, reporters everywhere, cameras flashing. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcus said, voice solemn, I'm here today to address the tragic explosion at the Riverside development, an explosion that has taken innocent lives and devastated families. And I'm here to tell you who's responsible. Emma's stomach twisted. For months, Dante Moretti has been trying to force me out of this project, threatening me, sabotaging my business. And when I refused to back down, he took it too far. Marcus looked directly at the camera. I have evidence, recordings, documents, witness testimony that prove Dante Moretti orchestrated this explosion, that he murdered 3 innocent workers in a petty act of revenge. He's lying, Emma breathed. And I'm turning all of this evidence over to the authorities. Effective immediately, I'm calling for Dante Moretti's arrest on charges of corporate sabotage and manslaughter. The screen cut to chaos, reporters shouting, questions everywhere. Dante stood frozen. Vincent's phone rang. He answered, listened. His face went gray. The police are on their way. he said quietly. "They have a warrant for your arrest." Emma felt the world collapse. This was it, the end. Everything they'd fought for, gone in a single press conference. Dante turned to her. His expression was calm, too calm. "Emma, I need you to listen very carefully. Dante, Vincent is going to take you somewhere safe. Somewhere Marcus can't find you. You're going to stay there until this is over. I'm not leaving you." "Yes, you are." He cupped her face. "Because if you're here when the police arrive, you'll be implicated too. Accessory, conspiracy. Marcus will make sure of it. So you're going to go with Vincent, you're going to stay hidden, and you're going to let me handle this." "How? They're arresting you for murder, and I'll prove I'm innocent." "With what evidence, Dante? You said Marcus covered his tracks." "Then I'll find new tracks." He kissed her. Hard. Final. "I love you, Emma Chen, and I'm going to fix this, I promise." "You can't promise." Sirens. Close. Getting closer. "Vincent, get her out of here. Now." "No!" Emma fought as Vincent grabbed her arm. "Dante, please." "Go, Emma. Please." Vincent pulled her toward the emergency exit. Emma looked back. Dante stood alone in his office, watching her, looking like a man about to face a firing squad, and there was nothing she could do to stop it. The door closed. Vincent pulled her down the stairs. Behind them, Emma heard the elevator ding, heard voices. "Dante Moretti, you're under arrest." And then Vincent was pushing her into a car, and they were speeding away from the building, and Emma was screaming and crying and breaking apart because the man she loved was going to prison for a crime he didn't commit, and she was powerless to save him. The safe house was a studio apartment in Queens that smelled like old coffee and defeat. Vincent had driven Emma there in silence, 20 minutes of city lights blurring past while her world collapsed inward. He'd unlocked the door, done a quick sweep of the single room, and turned to face her with an expression that said he'd seen this story before and knew how it ended. "Stay here," he said. "Don't leave. Don't call anyone. Don't post on social media. Don't do anything that could give away your location." Emma stood in the middle of the room, arms wrapped around herself, shaking. "How long?" "As long as it takes." "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have." Vincent headed for the door. Stopped. Looked back. "For what it's worth, I've worked for Dante for 8 years. I've never seen him care about anyone the way he cares about you. He'll find a way out of this." "And if he doesn't?" Vincent's jaw tightened. "Then we all lose." He left. The lock clicked. Emma was alone. She sank onto the couch, cheap, stained, nothing like the furniture in Dante's penthouse, and let herself break. The tears came hard and ugly, choking sobs that ripped through her chest. She cried for Dante, sitting in a cell somewhere because he'd chosen to protect her. Cried for her mother, vulnerable and alone in that hospital room. Cried for herself, trapped in this nightmare with no way out. When the tears finally stopped, Emma felt hollow, empty, like someone had scooped out everything that made her human and left only the shell. She pulled out her phone. 17 missed calls, dozens of texts, all from numbers she didn't recognize, reporters probably. Vultures circling. She blocked them all. Then she opened her messages and typed, "Mom, I'm okay. Don't worry about me. Just focus on getting better. I love you." She hit send before she could second guess it. 3 dots appeared immediately. "Emma, what's going on? The news is saying terrible things about Dante. Please call me." Emma's hands shook. "I can't explain right now, but I promise I'm safe. Everything is going to be okay." Another lie. She was getting good at those. Her mother's response came back fast. "I don't believe you, but I trust you. Be careful, sweetheart. And remember, you're stronger than you think." Emma closed her eyes. "I love you, Mom. I love you too." She set the phone down, stared at the ceiling, and tried to figure out what the hell to do next. The answer came at 2 in the morning. Emma had been lying awake for hours, mind racing through possibilities. She couldn't just sit here, couldn't just wait for Vincent to call with news while Dante rotted in a cell and Marcus celebrated his victory. There had to be something she could do, some angle they'd missed. She sat up, grabbed her phone, started searching. First the explosion. Every news article, every report, every detail. The official story was that faulty wiring had caused a gas leak. The leak had ignited. 3 workers, All undocumented immigrants, all working late shifts, had died instantly. 7 others had been hospitalized with severe burns. Marcus had blamed Dante within hours, said Dante had sabotaged the wiring as revenge for being shut out of the project. But something didn't add up. Emma pulled up the building plans for Riverside. They were public record, filed with the city 6 months ago. She zoomed in on the electrical systems. No gas lines. The building was all electric. Emma's heart started pounding. She searched again, triple-checked, read every document she could find. No gas, which meant the explosion couldn't have been caused by a gas leak, which meant someone was lying. Emma grabbed her laptop. Vincent had left her one, basic but functional, and started digging deeper. Permits, inspections, contractor records. Everything had Marcus's fingerprints on it, and everything was falsified. The permits were issued by officials who'd received campaign donations from Marcus's shell companies. The inspections were signed off by contractors who'd been hired by Marcus's subsidiary firms. The entire project was a house of cards built on corruption. Emma kept searching. 3 hours later, she found it. Buried in a form for construction workers, posted anonymously 2 weeks ago. Anyone else working Riverside notice the wiring is garbage? Shortcuts everywhere. No way this passes code? Management says don't worry about it. I'm worried. Emma screenshotted it, kept digging, found more posts, different usernames, same complaints. Riverside is a death trap waiting to happen. Boss told me to skip the safety checks. Said time is money. If this building doesn't kill someone during construction, it'll kill someone after opening. Emma's hand shook as she compiled everything into a folder. This was it. Proof that Marcus had cut corners. That the explosion wasn't sabotage. It was inevitable. The result of greed and negligence. But it wasn't enough. She needed someone to go on record. Someone who'd worked the site. Someone who could testify. Emma opened a new search window. Started looking for survivor names from the explosion. Found 7. 5 were in critical condition. 2 were stable enough for visitors. One of them was named Carlos Mendez. Emma memorized the hospital name, room number. Then she grabbed her jacket and headed for the door. Vincent had told her to stay put, but Vincent wasn't the one watching Dante's life burn. Emma was, and she was done sitting on the sidelines. Carlos Mendez was 24 years old with third-degree burns on 40% of his body. Emma found him in the ICU at Mercy General, wrapped in bandages, hooked up to machines that beeped steady rhythms of survival. A nurse tried to stop her at the door. Family only. I'm his cousin, Emma lied. I just flew in from California. The nurse looked skeptical but tired. 5 minutes. Emma slipped inside. Carlos was awake. Barely. His eyes tracked to her, confused. Who are you? His voice was rough, damaged by smoke. My name is Emma. I need to ask you about the explosion. I already talked to the police. I'm not the police. Emma pulled a chair close to the bed. I'm married to Dante Moretti. The man Marcus Sullivan is blaming for what happened to you. Carlos's expression hardened. Your husband killed my friends. No, he didn't. Marcus did. Through negligence and greed, and I can prove it, but I need your help. Why would I help you? Because the truth matters. Because 3 men are dead, and Marcus is using them as props to destroy an innocent person. Because if you don't speak up, he'll get away with it. He'll build another project, cut more corners, and more people will die. Carlos was silent for a long moment. Then, what do you want to know? Emma pulled out her phone, started recording. Tell me about the safety violations. By the time Emma left the hospital, she had 40 minutes of testimony. Carlos had held nothing back, detailed every shortcut, every ignored warning, every order to prioritize speed over safety. It was damning. Emma uploaded the recording to a secure cloud, sent copies to 3 different email addresses. Then she called Vincent. He answered on the first ring. Where the hell are you? Mercy General. Emma, I have evidence. Proof that Marcus is responsible for the explosion. Survivor testimony, construction records, everything. Silence. Then, get back to the safe house. Now. Not until I get this to someone who can use it. Emma, if Marcus finds out what you're doing, then let him find out. I'm done hiding Vincent. Dante's sitting in a cell for a crime he didn't commit. I'm not going to let that stand. You're going to get yourself killed, maybe, but at least I'll go down fighting. She hung up, hailed a cab, gave the driver an address she'd memorized from her research. The offices of the Manhattan District Attorney. Batet Moti Bam and Scan. The DA's office didn't officially open until 9 a.m. Emma arrived at 7. She sat on the steps outside, laptop in her bag, recording on her phone, and waited. The city woke up around her. Morning commuters, coffee vendors, the noise of millions of people starting another day. Emma felt disconnected from all of it, like she was watching from underwater. At 8:30, a woman in a sharp suit approached the building. Mid-40s, confident stride. ID badge clipped to her jacket. Emma stood. "Excuse me, are you with the DA's office?" The woman stopped, looked Emma over with the kind of assessment that came from years of reading people. "Who's asking?" "My name is Emma Moretti. I'm married to Dante Moretti, and I have evidence that proves he's innocent of the charges Marcus Sullivan filed against him." The woman's expression didn't change. "I'm Assistant District Attorney Rebecca Choi, and you should have your lawyer contact us through proper channels." "I would, but Dante's lawyer is busy trying to get him out of jail, and every hour he sits there is another hour. Marcus Sullivan's lies get treated as truth." Rebecca studied her. "What kind of evidence?" Emma pulled out her phone. Survivor testimony, construction records, proof that the explosion at Riverside was caused by safety violations, not sabotage. Marcus Sullivan cut corners, ignored warnings, and when people died because of his negligence, he blamed my husband to cover his own ass. That's a serious accusation. "It's the truth." Rebecca glanced at her watch, then at Emma. "Come with me." They spent 3 hours in a conference room. Emma played the recording, showed the construction records, walked Rebecca through every piece of evidence she'd compiled. Rebecca listened without interrupting, took notes, asked pointed questions. When Emma finished, Rebecca sat back in her chair. "This is good work," she said. "Better than most investigations I've seen from actual detectives. Does it help?" "It helps, but it's not enough to charge Marcus Sullivan. Not yet." Emma's stomach sank. "Why not?" "Because a recording and some anonymous forum posts aren't the same as hard evidence. I need the actual construction documents, the original permits, inspector signatures, financial records showing where the money went." Rebecca leaned forward. "What you've given me is enough to start an investigation. But investigations take time. Weeks, maybe months." "Dante doesn't have months." "I know. Which is why I'm going to fast-track this. Put my best investigators on it, and push for Dante's release on bail pending review of the new evidence." "When?" "I can file the motion today. Hearing will probably be tomorrow morning." Emma felt something like hope crack through the despair. "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet. Marcus Sullivan has powerful friends, judges, politicians. This won't be easy." "Nothing worth doing ever is." Rebecca smiled, thin, tired. "You're right about that." Emma left the DA's office feeling lighter than she had in days. It wasn't over, not even close, but it was something. A foothold. A chance. She was halfway to the subway when her phone rang. "Vincent." "Tell me you're not still at the DA's office," he said. "I'm not. I'm on my way back to the safe house." "Good. Because we have a problem." Emma's chest tightened. "What kind of problem?" "Marcus knows. About the testimony. About the evidence. He's moving to discredit it before it goes public." "How does he know?" "Because he has people everywhere, Emma. Eyes, ears. Someone at that hospital probably called him the second you left Carlos's room." Emma's mind raced. "What's he going to do?" "I don't know, but Dante called from lockup. He said to tell you to disappear, leave the city, change your name, whatever it takes to stay out of Marcus's reach." "I'm not running." "Emma, I said I'm not running. I'm done letting Marcus control this. I'm done being afraid. Fear is what keeps you alive." "No, fear is what keeps you paralyzed, and I'm not paralyzed anymore." She hung up, kept walking, and didn't see the black sedan until it was too late. Yes. They grabbed her off the street in broad daylight. 2 men, professional, fast. They had her in the car before she could scream. Emma fought anyway. Clawed, kicked, bit one of them hard enough to draw blood. He backhanded her. Stars exploded across her vision. When her head cleared, they were moving, windows tinted, doors locked. "Where are you taking me?" Emma demanded. Neither man answered. Fear clawed up her throat, but under it was something else. Fury. She'd been grabbed, threatened, terrorized, and she was done. If Marcus wanted to play dirty, fine. She'd show him exactly how dirty she could fight back. The car drove for 20 minutes, then stopped. They pulled her out in an underground parking garage. Emma recognized it immediately. Sullivan Holdings. Marcus's building. They dragged her to an elevator. Up, up, up. Top floor. The doors opened onto an executive suite that screamed money and power. And standing by the window, drink in hand, was Marcus Sullivan. He turned when they brought her in, smiled. "Emma, so glad you could join me. Go to hell. Eventually, but not today." He gestured to the men. "Leave us." They did. The door closed. Emma and Marcus stood alone in the pristine office, separated by 20 feet of imported marble. "You've been busy," Marcus said, "visiting hospitals, meeting with prosecutors, building a case against me." "Someone had to." "Admirable. Stupid, but admirable." He took a sip of his drink. "You know what your problem is, Emma. You think the truth matters. You think if you just present enough evidence, justice will prevail. It will. No, it won't, because I own the people who decide what justice looks like. Judges, lawyers, politicians, they're all in my pocket." He set down his glass. "Your testimony? Inadmissible. Carlos Mendez? Undocumented immigrant whose word means nothing. Construction records? Easily explained away as clerical errors. You can't make this disappear. I already have. By this time tomorrow, the investigation into Riverside will conclude that Dante Moretti is guilty. He'll be convicted, sentenced, and you'll be left with nothing." Emma's hands curled into fists. "Why are you doing this? What did Dante ever do to you that was worth destroying his entire life?" "He embarrassed me." Marcus's voice went cold. 5 years ago, when he walked away from our partnership, he made me look weak, made me look like I needed him. And then he built an empire that rivaled mine, proved he didn't need me at all. He stepped closer. "Men like me don't forgive that, Emma. We destroy it." "You're pathetic." "I'm powerful. There's a difference." "No, you're a coward hiding behind money and influence because you can't stand the idea of someone being better than you." Marcus's expression darkened. "Careful." "Or what? You'll have me killed? Go ahead. Prove you're exactly the monster everyone says you are." "I don't need to kill you, Emma. I just need to break you, and I think I know exactly how to do it." He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, turned it to face her. Emma's blood went cold. The screen showed a live feed from her mother's hospital room. Her mother was asleep, peaceful, unaware. And standing beside the bed was one of Marcus's men. "One phone call," Marcus said quietly, "and she stops breathing, peacefully, painlessly. Just another tragedy. Cancer patient who didn't make it." Emma couldn't breathe. "You wouldn't. Wouldn't I? She's innocent. She has nothing to do with this. Neither did those 3 workers who died at Riverside. But that didn't stop your husband from being blamed, did it?" Marcus pocketed his phone. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to go to the DA. You're going to recant your testimony. Say you made it up. Say you were desperate to save Dante and fabricated evidence." "I won't." "Yes, you will. Because if you don't, your mother dies. And then I'll make sure Dante spends the rest of his life in prison, knowing that his wife's stubbornness cost her mother's life." Emma felt tears burn her eyes. This was it. The impossible choice. Her mother's life or Dante's freedom. She couldn't have both. "I need time," she whispered. "You have until 5 p.m. Make your decision." "And Emma?" Marcus's smile was cruel. "Choose wisely." What? They dumped Emma back on the street 2 blocks from Sullivan Holdings. She stood on the sidewalk, shaking, trying to process what had just happened. Marcus had her trapped. Checkmate. If she recanted, Dante went to prison. The truth stayed buried. Marcus won. If she didn't, her mother died. There was no third option, no clever solution, just 2 terrible choices. Emma pulled out her phone, dialed. Dante answered from the jail phone. "Emma." His voice broke her. I'm sorry, she said, tears streaming down her face. I'm so sorry. For what? I tried. I found evidence. I got testimony. I went to the DA. I did everything I could. But Marcus, her voice cracked. He has someone at my mom's hospital. He says if I don't recant everything, he'll kill her. Silence. Then, do it. What? Recant. Tell them you lied. Save your mother. But you'll go to prison. I don't care. Dante, Emma, listen to me. His voice was fierce, raw. Your mother is dying. This trial, this treatment, it's giving her a chance, a real chance. And if my freedom is the price for her life, I'll pay it, gladly. I can't let you do that. You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing her. I'm choosing you. Emma sobbed. There has to be another way. There isn't, and we both know it. Dante's voice softened. I love you, Emma Chen, and I need you to do this. For me. For your mother. Please. Emma sank down onto the curb, phone pressed to her ear, world collapsing. I love you too, she whispered. Then let me go. The line went dead. Emma sat there on the dirty sidewalk, surrounded by indifferent strangers, and felt her heart shatter into pieces so small she'd never put them back together. She didn't recant. Instead, she did something else. Something desperate and reckless, and probably insane. She called Victoria Lang. The journalist answered on the second ring. Emma Moretti, I was wondering when you'd call. I have a story for you, Emma said. The real story, about Marcus Sullivan, about Riverside, about everything. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Meet me. 1 hour, Columbus Park. Come alone. And if I don't? Then Marcus wins, and 3 dead workers never get justice. A pause. Then, I'll be there. A sec. Victoria Lang was exactly what Emma expected. Sharp, professional, skeptical. They met on a bench overlooking the park. Victoria had a recorder. Emma had her evidence. You have 30 minutes, Victoria said. Convince me. Emma did. She played Carlos's testimony, showed the construction records, walked Victoria through every piece of evidence linking Marcus to the explosion. When she finished, Victoria sat back. This is good, but if I publish this, Marcus will sue me into bankruptcy. He'll destroy my career. He'll try, but he won't succeed because I'm going on record. Full name, full story, everything. You realize what that means? You'll be a target. I'm already a target. Might as well make it count. Victoria studied her. Why are you doing this? Your husband's facing life in prison. You could recant, save him. Why risk your life for the truth? Because if I don't, Marcus wins. And men like Marcus always win when people are too afraid to fight back. Emma met her eyes. I'm not afraid anymore. Victoria smiled. Okay, let's burn him. The article went live at 4:30 p.m., 15 minutes before Marcus's deadline. The headline read, The Real Story of Riverside, How Marcus Sullivan's Greed Killed 3 Men and Framed an Innocent Man. It was devastating. Every detail, every piece of evidence, Carlos's testimony, Emma's statement, all of it laid bare for the world to see. Within minutes, it was everywhere, shared, retweeted, picked up by every major outlet. The narrative flipped. Suddenly Marcus was the villain. Dante was the victim. And Emma was the woman who'd risked everything to expose the truth. Emma watched it unfold from the safe house. Her phone exploded with calls, messages, interview requests. She ignored them all. Just waited. At 4:45, her phone rang. Marcus. She answered. You stupid, stupid girl, he hissed. Do you have any idea what you've done? I told the truth. You signed your mother's death warrant. No, I didn't, because you're not going to touch her. You're not going to touch me. You're not going to touch anyone, because the second you do, every eye in the country will be on you. Every prosecutor, every investigator. You make one wrong move and you're finished. I'll destroy you. You already tried. It didn't work. Emma's voice was steady. It's over, Marcus. You lost. She hung up, and then she waited for the other shoe to drop. It dropped at 6 p.m. The FBI arrested Marcus Sullivan on charges of fraud, negligence, and obstruction of justice. By 7, 3 judges had recused themselves from anything related to Sullivan Holdings due to conflicts of interest. By 8, the DA filed a motion to dismiss all charges against Dante Moretti. By 9, Dante was released. Emma got the call from Vincent. "He's out," Vincent said. "I'm bringing him to you now." Emma could barely breathe. "Is he okay?" "He's furious you didn't recant, but he's okay." "Good, that's good." She hung up, paced the safe house, tried to prepare herself for seeing him again. When the door finally opened, Emma turned, and there he was, Dante Moretti, rumpled, exhausted, alive. They stared at each other. Then Dante crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms. Held on so tight, Emma could barely breathe. "You didn't recant," he said against her hair. "No. I told you to. I know." "You could have died." "I know." Dante pulled back, looked at her. His eyes were red, raw. "Don't ever do that again. I can't promise that. Emma, you told me we're partners. Partners don't give up on each other. They fight, together. That's what I did." Dante's expression crumbled. "You're going to drive me insane." "Probably." He kissed her, desperate, grateful, alive, and Emma kissed him back with everything she had. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Dante pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you," he whispered. "I love you too. This is real, right? Not just the situation, not just the adrenaline. It's real. You're sure?" "I'm sure." Dante exhaled, long, shaky. "Okay," he said. "Okay." They held each other in the tiny safe house while the world kept spinning. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Emma felt safe. The fallout took weeks. Marcus was indicted on 17 counts. His empire collapsed, assets frozen, reputation destroyed. The survivors of Riverside, Carlos included, filed a class-action lawsuit, won a settlement that would change their lives. Dante's company survived. Barely. But it survived. And the marriage contract? They burned it. 3 months after Marcus's arrest, Emma and Dante stood in front of a judge. A different judge, one neither of them knew, in a courtroom that smelled like old wood and new beginnings. "Do you, Dante Moretti, take Emma Chen to be your lawfully wedded wife?" Dante looked at Emma, smiled. "I do." "And do you, Emma Chen, take Dante Moretti to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Emma smiled back. "I do." "Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife." They kissed. No contract. No deadline. No performance. Just 2 people who'd survived hell and chosen each other anyway. 6 months later. Emma's mother sat in the garden of the rehabilitation center, wrapped in a blanket, sipping tea. Her hair had grown back. Thinner. Grayer. But back. The trial treatment had worked. The cancer was in remission. Emma sat beside her, hand in hand, watching the sun set over the city. "You're different," her mother said. "How?" "Stronger, harder, but also softer somehow." Her mother squeezed her hand. "You grew up." "I didn't have a choice. We always have a choice, sweetheart. You chose to fight. You chose to survive. You chose love over fear." She looked at Emma. "I'm proud of you." Emma felt tears sting her eyes. "Thanks, Mom." They sat in comfortable silence. Then Emma's phone buzzed. A text from Dante. "Dinner's ready. Come home." Home. The penthouse didn't feel like a cage anymore. It felt like exactly what it was. Home. Emma stood, kissed her mother's forehead. "I'll see you tomorrow. Bring that husband of yours. I want to beat him at chess again." Emma laughed. "Deal." She left the rehabilitation center and headed across the city. To the penthouse. To Dante. To the life they'd built from ashes and fear and stubborn refusal to give up. When she walked through the door, Dante was in the kitchen, cooking, badly. He looked up when she entered, smiled. That smile still did things to her. You're late, he said. Traffic. Liar. Okay, I was talking to my mom. How is she? Good. She wants to destroy you at chess again tomorrow. Dante laughed. Tell her I'll bring reinforcements. Emma crossed the kitchen, wrapped her arms around him from behind. I love you, she said. I love you too. Even though I almost got you sent to prison? Especially because of that. Emma smiled against his back. They stood there in the kitchen, billionaire and former server, husband and wife, two people who'd signed a contract and found something real, while dinner burned and the city glittered outside and the future stretched ahead of them like an unwritten story. 2 years had seemed like forever when Emma signed that contract. Now, forever didn't seem long enough. 1 year later, the foundation launched on a Tuesday, the Riverside Memorial Foundation, dedicated to construction safety, worker protection, holding corporations accountable, funded by Dante's company, run by Emma. The opening ceremony was small, intimate, just the people who mattered. Carlos Mendez was there, walking now, scarred but alive. He'd been hired as the foundation's first safety inspector. Victoria Lang was there too. She'd won a journalism award for her coverage of the Riverside scandal, used the prize money to start an investigative nonprofit. Emma's mother sat in the front row, healthy and radiant and crying happy tears. And Dante stood beside Emma, hand in hers, as she gave the opening speech. This foundation exists because 3 men died, Emma said, because the system failed them, because profit was valued over people. We can't bring them back, but we can make sure their deaths meant something. We can fight for the workers who come after them. We can demand better, be better. She looked at Dante, then at her mother, then at the small crowd gathered. We can choose courage over fear, truth over convenience, love over everything else. Applause. Emma stepped down from the podium. Dante pulled her into his arms. You're amazing, he said. We're amazing. Yeah, we are. They stood there while flashbulbs popped and people congratulated them, and the world kept spinning. And Emma thought about the girl who'd spilled wine on a stranger's suit, the girl who'd been desperate and terrified and out of options. She was gone. In her place was a woman who'd faced monsters and survived, who'd fought for the people she loved and won, who'd learned that the most dangerous thing you could do wasn't marrying a stranger for money. It was believing in something, someone, enough to burn down the world to protect them. Emma Chen had done exactly that, and she'd do it again in a heartbeat, because some deals weren't written in contracts. They were written in blood and fire, and the kind of love that didn't ask for permission. They just were. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.